No, she always comes in at 5:30. Yes, she comes. No, it's not her. That's, Karen. Oh, yeah, yeah. Comments for budget.
On or off?
Good evening. We're going to call our meeting to order, and I would ask that this time, if you have cell phones, to please put them on silence or turn them off. I'd like to take a moment to welcome you to our meeting this evening, and we would stand and have pledge of allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem Joyce and prayer by Council Member Malinowski.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holy Spirit, we thank you for the privilege of serving our community. As we consider this budget and listen to the voices of our citizens, grant us wisdom, discernment, and compassion. Help us to be good stewards of the resources entrusted to us and treat one another with respect and understanding. Guide our discussions and decisions so that they serve the best interests of our city and all who call it home. Amen.
Amen. Is there anything that our council would like to add to our agenda this evening? If not, before we get to our public hearing, our city manager is going to make a couple of statements.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and through you to the members of the council. On May 15th, we provided you with our fiscal year 2027 budget for your review. We presented it to you in open session and posted it online as required by the law, and also posted supplemental materials presented to the council. We are in receipt of numerous ideas and suggestions from residents, which we value and appreciate. Over the past 6 months, we have had not one but 2 retreats and numerous meetings to discuss our financial condition. We have now received a level of detail on the condition of our infrastructure that we never before had. We have had presentations from our finance staff, Karen Stapp, our finance director, Rajiana Clark, and Lorinda Mason, have reviewed our annual audits, have heard from our public works staff, have heard from 2 independent certified public accountants with significant public sector experience, both of whom have reviewed our financial condition. We have had major presentations from our infrastructure engineers, and most importantly from our own DPW staff, including Sean Wood, Aaron Wadley, Larry Stevens, and Adam Ruark, who all know firsthand the challenge that we face. The entire team is on the same mindset. We all agree on this course of action. Simply stated, we have neglected our infrastructure. We have used funds other than for their intended purpose, and we are increasingly in jeopardy of major financial turmoil with the possibility of multiple infrastructure malfunctions if we continue to delay. My biggest plea is that we act, that we choose another path than the one we are used to, that we fix this situation once and for all. And our biggest threat is to believe that it isn't that bad, that we can solve our problem by nibbling around the edges, that we don't need to make tough decisions. My question to you is this: if the infrastructure engineers and our DPW are right about the condition of our infrastructure, and if our financial experts and independent CPAs are right about our fiscal condition, when we have multiple malfunctions that all pop up at once, which will happen, how are we going to explain to our residents if we can't fix things right away? There's an old saying that a sewer pipe has no constituency until it does. No one cares what's underground until it bursts or malfunctions. Attitudes tend to change real quick when you can't flush your toilet or drink your water. This budget is designed to address all of this. Obviously, this budget is different than in years past, but this budget is necessary and is responsive to our community's need. And this is only the first step in righting this ship, but it's a good start. The question is not where we will be in 3 weeks as we enter a new fiscal year, but where we will be in 3 years, in trouble or in strong financial shape. Before we go into our public hearing, Mr. Mayor, we have a short presentation from our municipal advisor, Walter Goldsmith, from First Tryon. Walter is the Chief Executive Officer at First Tryon Advisors. He has over 25 years of public finance experience servicing clients on debt-related matters. He joined First Tryon in 2014 to help build the firm's financial advisory practice. Walter's experience includes working directly with clients in a variety of sectors, including local government, K through 12 education, higher education, healthcare, and not-for-profit sectors. Walter is a graduate of Clemson University, but we won't hold that against you, Walter. He holds both the Municipal Advisory Representative License, Series 50, and the Advanced Municipal Advisor Principal License, Series 54. And he's begun to review our city's finances and comes here tonight with a few basic observations for us. Walter Goldsmith. Walter?
Thank you, Mr. Clem. It's nice to be with you. My name again is Walter Goldsmith, and we're serving as your municipal advisor. And I thought the city manager's comments gave a good situation on kind of where you've been and some of the challenges that are ahead of you. I thought I might just talk you through kind of the work plan. We're but one player on the big team, and you've got a lot of different roles and responsibilities, and so I thought I might explain kind of what our area of focus will be over the next several months and probably over a year or more. So you'll get used to seeing me come present. So tonight is no decision that you have to make. Just wanted to introduce myself and tell you what we're going to be doing. And want to commend you for the process that you're going through. It's not easy to plan for future capital improvements and to manage the revenues and expenditures of a local government. And I know this is not an easy process that you're going through, so I commend you for the steps that you're taking. Just to set the stage a little bit, the GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association, that's kind of the trade industry of local government finance officers. It's been in place 120 years. They're kind of the gold standard for best practices when it comes to budgeting and producing financial statements and financial projections. They kind of lay out 5 pillars of what good governance is when it comes to financial matters. And I've got those summarized. I won't read them all to you, but you can see that you really are starting down the path of checking a lot of those boxes. You've got to establish a long-term vision for what you want to achieve. You've got to build trust and have open communication with your citizens. If they don't understand what you're doing and don't trust and don't feel like you're communicating with them, it's hard to get forward momentum. You've got to have collective decision-making so that everybody can kind of have their fingers in the process. You've got to set clear rules and boundaries and monitor accountability, and then treat everyone fairly. Let me shift and talk a little bit about what our role is. Historically, our firm helped clients, cities and counties, when they needed to borrow money to build projects, fire stations, police stations, a park, a parking garage, and a client would call us. We're not a bank, we're not a lender. They would call us and say, we need to borrow money to build this project. City Council has approved it. Help us get the money at the best interest rate possible, the best terms and conditions. And we would do that, and we would come back and check in on that client 6 months later to say, how's the construction project going? And they would say, it's hopefully going great, on schedule, on budget. Come see it the next time you're in town. We'll go put on a hard hat and take a tour. And oh, by the way, council is starting to think about the next project. And we would start to say, well, gosh, if we had known that there was going to be a next project coming a year after that, we might have given you different advice on how to borrow for that first project. We might have said, use some of your cash or stretch out the repayment over 30 years instead of 20 years, or wait and let's do it one borrowing to fund both projects. And so we started saying to clients, we need to really understand your forward-looking plan. Don't tell us about just this project, but tell us everything that's coming in terms of projects, your infrastructure needs. And if you don't know it, let's put placeholders. If you feel like your sewage pipes are gonna need repairs, let's figure out a dollar amount in budget for that over a multi-year plan. The same with revenues. Let's understand what the constraints are around revenues. Let's understand your expense goals. Do you need to give a cost of living adjustment to employees? If we build a fire station, are you gonna staff it? Are you gonna buy equipment? And so we started building this robust financial planning model, and it's what we're now tasked with doing for you all. So your budget that you're adopting right now is a 1-year budget. What we focus on is a 5-year financial plan to say, okay, what is everything that you want to spend money on, and what are the revenue sources that you've got that are within your control? And then what the tool does is let us sit in a room together and play lots of what-if scenarios. What if we want to fund all of these projects, but we don't want to have a tax increase, but we do want to give employees a cost of living adjustment, to be able to toggle all of those switches so that you all can say, great, we see in this model that we're funding all of the projects, we're not having the revenue increase that we thought we wanted, and we're covering our expenses. And if that's not the case, then what do we need to turn off and cut back? So our goal is to build the financial planning model. It'll be an anchor that you'll come back to for years to say, okay, what is the model telling us as we adopt the budget? We'll be here to attend meetings and provide ongoing advice. So here's what we've done. The process for building the model should be about a 60-day process. We're about 30 days into it. You hired us about a month ago. Already, it's a giant Excel spreadsheet, as you can imagine. We've loaded in 4 years of historical financials. We can see many of the trends that you all have been talking about already, with fund balances declining and kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. We're going to look at all of your major funds, so your general fund, downtown development fund, your SPLOS, T-SPLOS, water, sewer, gas, and sanitation. And the goal is, on a fund-by-fund basis, to be able to project what are our revenues going to be next year and over the next 5 years, and are we going to make sure that each one of those funds can support its cost. We'll also get from you your 5-year capital improvement plan. So what are the projects that you think you'll fund, not just routine expenditures? We'll engage with staff and continue to run that on a scenario by scenario basis together with you. We've got about another 30 days to get that all wrapped up and buttoned up. We've already presented the first draft to your staff. So some things that we're seeing obviously are the decline in fund balance levels, the trend of ongoing deficits. That's probably the biggest kind of flashing red light on the dashboard to us. What I'll commend you on is we're starting to see that you're getting your arms around the year-by-year capital project list. Kind of what do we need to fund? In a perfect world, it gets all the way down to, you know, what vehicles do we need to buy? Where do we need to put a new roof, new HVAC? Where we don't have that, let's just put placeholder dollars to say we don't know what the expenditure will be, but we know we're going to have to spend on something. And then as you're starting to think about your longer term maintenance needs. So our goal again is to build a financial model that in plain English will let you and citizens look at and say, what are our key ratios going to look like going forward? How do we compare to peers? Are we on a good financial path? It's kind of just like you or I would have a long-term retirement plan. Here's how much money we want to have when we retire. What's our income? What are our expenditures? How are we going to get there? The roadmap. So we'll be building that for you. Happy to take any questions about that. I've got a couple of slides which I can leave with you to just give a little bit of an overview of our firm. The city manager kind of described that to you, so I won't read that to you. But this is the exact kind of work that we do day in and day out. So we're delighted to be working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Goldsmith, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you in the future.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And in closing, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to inform the council that we have a letter from Ms. Cindy England, who's the chair of the Citizens Financial Advisory Committee. The Citizens Financial Advisory Committee will be working very closely with First Tryon as soon as the advanced model is ready to look at the long-range financial solvency of the city. But I did receive this letter. The Citizens Financial Advisory Committee has begun meeting and is pleased with the progress the city is making towards strengthening its financial position. On the recommendation of the Citizens Financial Advisory Committee, the city has engaged a nationally recognized municipal financial advisor, who you just met. In addition, the city has begun to work with the financial advisor in developing an advanced financial model. The proposed FY 2027 budget reflects a marked change in the city's approach to budgeting. The Citizens Financial Advisory Committee noted the proposed FY 2027 budget supports year one goals of a multi-year plan to improve the city's financial position while also addressing much-needed infrastructure improvements. You have the entire letter in your package. I also just want to recognize our tourism partners. We've received letters from the Madison Morgan Cultural Center, from the Morgan County Historical Society, and from the Morgan County African American Museum, who receive tourism grants from the city, but are our tourism partners in bringing tourism to the city. We applaud the efforts of these three entities that do such a great job for the city, and we look forward to continuing to work with them. Having said that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you for our public hearing.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing for the fiscal year 2027 proposed budget. Normally, we usually have 15 minutes on each side for or against. And that's when we have zoning hearing, but since this is a budget hearing, we would have each person to have at least 5 minutes. And I would ask, please, if you would consider others who wants to get up and speak, consider your time and their time as well. The public hearing is for citizens to voice their opinion on the proposed budget before a final vote. Citizens can still submit written comments to the city clerk before the June 24th meeting. This is your time to speak and our time to listen without interruption. I ask speakers to be civil, respectful, and not attack or make personal comments against anyone. We will not entertain questions and answers. If council deems a response is needed, the appropriate council member or staff member will follow up with you after our meeting tonight. So at this time, our public hearing is open, and we will hear from those that oppose the proposed budget. Each constituent will have 5 minutes.
Is this where this, can you hear me? No?
We can't hear you.
Hit the button.
Oh, wait a minute, it's green.
Is the light on, dude?
Can you hear me?
Still can't hear you.
Am I not hitting the right button?
There's only one.
Hold on a second, David. Ken's gonna
Cavalry's
take a
coming.
look.
Okay, you have 2 minutes left.
Okay. I appreciate being here tonight. David Land, 2264 West Washington. For over 3 months now, I've worked to better understand the city's financial situation, one which John, the city manager, has told you is on the cusp of financial disaster. My research says it's not. I'm not saying we don't have problems. Are there things that need addressing? Absolutely, but not always as John has suggested. He has said our problem is that we're spending too much. This was in one of your other presentations. That's not really the problem. Our problem is not that we are spending too much on the wrong things. We're spending too little on the right things. John knows this. Rather than reducing what the city is now spending, he proposes to increase next year's budget by $2.3 million. John suggests the major problem has been the general fund. It's not. Our major challenge is our 5 enterprise funds, which will need $92 million in infrastructure investment over the next 5 to 6 years. I would agree with John that the general fund has been subsidized by the enterprise funds, but not by the $1.7 million he told you needs cutting. He knows that. The budget he presented cuts half that, but even half is too much. The actual amount is closer to $250,000, and yes, subsidizing this needs to stop. Unfortunately, in trying to fix this, the May 15 budget mistakenly proposes the reverse, that the general fund should now subsidize enterprise funds by $900,000, over 3 times more than they were subsidizing the general fund. That shouldn't happen. The $900,000 is to pay for general fund services essential to the enterprise funds. Rather than enterprises paying for these services by hiring their own staff or contracting with an outside party, the enterprise funds are in essence contracting with and paying general fund entities to do this for them. Enterprise revenues should cover this, and they are the direct beneficiary. What should be occurring is not for any major fund to be subsidized by another, but for each to be financially self-sustaining. John's proposed budget doesn't do this. Instead, he finds the subsidies to the enterprise funds. To fund the subsidies to the enterprise funds, he's unnecessarily cutting staff and eliminating $876,000 from the general fund departments as somehow not now acceptable. It's not now being unnecessary. He's saying that it's not necessary now. But over the preceding 3 years, we as a city have overseen the increase in city staff by 27% and fund revenues by $3.2 million, with 75% of this funding for staff increases, expansions. Over the past 2 years, under John's leadership, he increased the police budget by nearly $500,000. He must have believed each time such increases were essential. Why now would much of what he did suddenly become non-essential? I don't believe it has, other than minor fat which can creep into any business or government entity. The total of this might be $200,000 to $300,000, not $800,000 to $900,000. So no, I don't believe Karen needs to cut her finance department's budget by $115,000 or Main Street by $90,000. I don't believe we need to cut our public safety budget by $250,000 or Aaron's building and grounds budget by $240,000. While there are those who would say otherwise, such cuts will undermine what Madison does so well to make it what we are. I've provided an alternative budget I believe meets the city's requirements. It's not perfect. No doubt it needs tweaking, but it seems closer to what you should approve than the budget presented at your May 15 workshop if it is left unamended. Let's look at this alternative budget. It reduces by $600,000 cuts to general fund operating departments and the services they provide. It requires no staff reductions. It reduces John's proposed increase in property taxes by 37%. It increases funding for infrastructure capital by $2.5 million, which is actually a bit more than John is suggesting. It helps replenish fund balances by over $700,000. It results in all major funds being financially self-sustaining. It increases stormwater and road funding by over $600,000, which is more consistent with Aaron Wadley's May 15th presentation than the May 15th budget. It makes other infrastructure funding more consistent with recommendations by the city's contracted engineering firm in the FY 2027 budget book as to what needs to be done. And it does all this with revenues only being a bit more than the May 15 budget you've been asked to approve. I hope you'll seriously consider amending parts of the budget. A handout I've given you suggests the most important issues. I would
David, time's
I'm
up.
closing. I would welcome the opportunity to meet with you individually, both with you or staff, to cover sections of this, and I want to thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, David. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak against this budget? Please come forward.
I promise to be brief. My name's Paul Turner. I live here downtown. Couple things. When attending the budget and look at the budget review, I think there's more time, recommend more time toward process versus people. I think it's easy, I spent my career in manufacturing. I've received every year a task, a 3.5% reduction, 3% reduction. That's not a process. It is per se, but I would be given 3% reduction every year, but then I'd also be given a task to reduce my costs or try to reduce my costs, right? In that, I think more time should be focused on process versus the people. I think there's things that we can look at. Like I said, the reduction was one. I had one question because I didn't understand how we create the budget when I don't see performance of the current budget. So, again, in manufacturing, the budget is reviewed every month. Every department manager is accountable for that performance. And I'm not seeing the regular output or accountability on a regular basis of how the departments are performing. And those are the opportunities we look at of maybe transferring or sharing funds across different departments. Some are winning, some aren't, but there may be legitimate reasons why they're not winning. Usually maintenance is the one who always seems to struggle, but it's not because of leadership, it's because of breakdowns and things that they have to deal with because there's not a long executed plan. They go from reactive, right, versus preventive. Asking for the increase in the infrastructure, absolutely. I think that has to come into play. You can't wait for something to happen. I think when you change the tide to allow the people in the department to anticipate what's going to fail versus having to react when to fail, that's a better plan. Otherwise, costs are just going to get out of control. My last piece, I didn't understand the airport. I don't understand the purpose of the airport, why we have an airport. I can't see that benefiting the mass. I see it benefiting the few. And there's roughly $100-something thousand there to run an airport. Why? That one really stands out for me. Benefit reduction, we talked about benefit reduction. I'm not in favor of benefit reduction. I'm begging the question of whether or not we've talked to the employees and said, hey, here's our situation. Are you looking at an opportunity to, can you provide additional funds toward that premium plan versus automatically going for the cut? And again, I go to the airport, that's $100,000, well, the benefit offset is $68,000. So why are we penalizing the people that are working for us? And if it comes down to the benefit, then I think there's different discussions that could be made on that. I also worry about infrastructure in that, do we have a plan? And yes, we have the consultant, we have it all outlined, but if it fails here tomorrow, what is our plan? And I think there's opportunities for some failure mode analysis on what to do when it happens versus putting the maintenance group in a bad position when it fails. I think we should spend time up front in understanding what that plan is. Sure, there's an overhaul, but is the site or the city prepared for the outage that's required for that? Has anybody talked about that? We've only talked about what's bad and what could go bad, but we haven't talked about what is the duration period. Can a whole street be without sewer for a week, 2 weeks? What is those periods and what does that include? I think if we sit back and try to understand that a bit more, then we can plan better and put maintenance in a better spot to be able to execute the plan versus when it fails. So I get the big picture, that's great, but we need to start breaking it down in chunks. And as we start analyzing those chunks, then we get the plan. And that's what I'm asking for you guys to do. More from a process versus attacking people. Because as a manager, they came to me and we get rid of operators. Well, the operators were the ones who made the product. Why aren't we looking at the management group and the spending and where it's going before we start messing with the people? That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else here to speak against this proposed budget?
I just wanted to provide, my name is Ben Prue, 421 North Main Street, also on the Green Space Commission. Not necessarily against the budget, but I just was trying to go through it quickly and just noticed we had all been working with y'all for a roughly $800,000 grant for Horse Branch Trail, and that was roughly, a GDOT grant that would be, provided by GDOT, and we were kind of on the hook for a small portion of that as kind of a local, cost of roughly $20,000. I know we kind of worked through that, and I believe we found a solution that we would be able to secure that, but I was just a little perplexed not seeing that reflected on the budget. From my understanding, it seemed like, it was such a huge deal to be able to find that, $20,000. So I was just confused why it wasn't, maybe worked into the budget somehow. So just wanted to mention that, call that out, just make sure that, we kind of came and, begged to not let this grant go. And I just wanted to make sure that omission didn't really, cause any concern moving forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Anyone else here to speak against the proposed budget? And I will, Mike.
Mike Conrad's 255 North Main Street. This administration's been here for 4-ish years, if I'm not mistaken. And the question that comes up is why now? Why wasn't this raised, these issues to this degree raised before? I just don't understand the timing of all this. It needs to be addressed, okay? Got it. We've got infrastructure issues. Been on the receiving end of some of those failures, and I understand that. But having that come up and be such an issue right now is just, I don't, again, quite get that. We see cost cutting in this budget. We see increases in some areas, but cost cutting in others. And the fact that we've got departmental increases that have occurred, and yet the people that were running those departments and the folks that were in there doing the job and all of that experience and knowledge is leaving. And that's another aspect of this budget and what we're having to pay for the new employees coming in to replace those folks who are leaving. It's another issue. Council, you're in charge. There are so many things that are going on that need to be addressed. I've sent you all information and questions, and I haven't gotten any responses to this date concerning that. Other folks have been sending information and questions in as well that need to be addressed. And I would hope you would be asking those same questions about what's going on and what's building this budget and the reason for it now. My primary message to you tonight is one that I have been pushing all along. The other side of this equation is the income side. If you all don't step up and provide the leadership we need that says, okay, we can have industry, put it where you want it, and increase the tax base that has been plummeting around industrial growth. It's gone. It's leaving us every day. We've got to address that. We've got to bring that in. I'm going to say it, and I'm going to get in trouble for saying it. Why not a data center? Smaller buildings, not the big ones. Smaller buildings in the locations, and as long as they address the utility issue, I get it. There's still some questions there. But that type of growth will provide the income needed to be able to balance this budget without putting it on the backs of the residential, and that's exactly squarely where this burden is going every year. Look at the charts. Watch where the income is coming from on your tax base. It is clearly on the residential side. Please start addressing the income side. Slashing Main Street, okay, save a few dollars. But what's lost is the tourism dollar, which is behind a data center, is probably the best tax dollar you can get. Come in, spend your money, and leave. No schools, no more schools, no more hospital. You don't need all of those extras for a tourism dollar. So when we slash those areas that are bringing the growth to us, to the shops downtown that need that revenue and provide you that tax base, if we continue to slash it, it's going to be a desert downtown. Projects are coming to you. Please hear them out, give them a chance, because we need that other side of this equation. We need more revenue. Please start focusing on that so we don't have to slash left and right. There's an old saying in business: you cannot save yourself to prosperity. Think about that. You cannot save yourself to prosperity. That's what this budget is doing. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak against this proposed budget? And I would remind our citizens, if you have written comments, you could do written comments to our city clerk before June the 24th, before the final adoption of this budget. No one else to speak against? Now we hear from those who are in favor of this budget.
My name's Carol Winslow. I'm at 394 North Main. I've taken a look at the infrastructure. seeking more information about what we might be able to do in addition to the steps that have been taken so far. So I looked at the report for Georgia's infrastructure. They have various categories with details, introduction detail, and then suggestions to improve them. And I looked at the ones for stormwater, wastewater, and solid waste, or sorry, drinking water. And I didn't want to read all of that, so I'm cutting and pasting. Increasing the amount of funding available for drinking water, but also asset management plans, considering the condition and risk and prioritization based on that for the capital improvements. Additional water supply options, I don't know if we have that. Smart water technologies. As the workforce ages, we need to recognize that we'll be losing knowledge and need to plan to replace that, and then adjusting the rates. For stormwater, capacity analysis is recommended, and this is specifically to be able to forecast population growth and development challenges. I was looking for a different subject for economic development, and I clicked on it wondering what would be there, and what popped up was infrastructure. If we don't have the infrastructure, it makes it hard for some companies to come in, and that includes roads, which I am not speaking on tonight, but road infrastructure supports industry, and that's something we've also neglected. So obviously stormwater, drinking water, and wastewater would be affected by growth. So we need to consider that. Now, for all of these, they talk about something that I've just learned recently, because I'm not a finance expert, and that is there's maintenance and operations expenses and also the capital expenses. So maintenance and operations, I think, make a lot of sense, but the capital expenses I had to think about, what does that mean? And I think it's sort of as you add one person or one family or a dozen families, then your maintenance and operations go up a little bit, incremental costs. But once you reach a certain level, then you have a need for a new plant or a need for a new lift station. And so you've got a capital cost or additional trucks and all of that. So something to keep in mind, we've got maintenance, operations, and the capital to consider. I looked back at previous years to see how we were, I guess, basically borrowing from the enterprise funds. And in 2019, it was over 500,000. If you go back further, in 2018, it was 805,000. And in 2017, it was 845,000. So you can see it looks like maybe we were covering the maintenance and operations, but not thinking about the capital. One other thing I wanted to speak of were the sinkholes. I think those are a sign that our system is stressed. And those are not only expensive to fix on the fly when they occur, and everyone expects that to happen, but they're also very dangerous. I've learned how deep our infrastructure is under all our streets, and they dig a narrow, almost like a shaft hole to go down and examine things. I mean, they were digging in front of my house for several times looking for the sewer taps. So I know those holes are deep and people are willing to go down in there and fix things. But when you have a sinkhole, that's a whole different thing. You don't have a sense that that shaft is going to hold. There's a sinkhole, there's a cavern, there is collapse. And so I don't think many of us would want to be the one who's asked to get down in that hole and fix it. So the fact that we've had 3 sinkholes recently means there's some urgency to attacking this through whatever we can with the budget. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Winslow. Is there anyone else here to speak for our budget 2027?
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Bell. I live at 555 South Main Street. I want to thank all the people who have gotten up and spoken a lot of good ideas. I am not a finance person, but I could be swayed by any of them, I'm sure. But what I really wish is that everybody in this room could have been here last month for the work session, when you had probably 15, 18 employees of this city lined up here telling you the problems they're facing in their different departments. And they took your questions and they explained to you the challenges that they face every single day. And sometimes overnight, 8 feet deep in a ditch in the middle of a road, patching it and very expensively repairing it, all different parts of our antiquated infrastructure. But they didn't come here to complain to you. They came here to explain to you what their life and what their job is like day in and day out. And it's got to change. The consultant stole my line. We've been robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's got to change. It's not fair to the people who work here. And it will become an increasing burden on the people who live here over the years that come. The people who came here last month came to explain a need for a plan and a budget that replaces what we need replaced and maintains our infrastructure. And more than that, organizationally across the board, the staff has been working to contribute their proposals to this budget. This isn't a John budget. There's no point in trying to personalize this to any one person in our government. This has been an across-the-board project. Who knows how many hundreds of hours our finance director, Karen, has spent on this. The Karens have been amazing. The proposals they brought for the budget and for the employees of the city. They brought the plans forward to improve efficiency at the same time as they brought proposals to cut costs. And it's a proposal not just for us. It's for the future of Madison. It's for our children, our very adorable grandchildren, and those who come to join our community in the years to come. I simply request that you support our city employees by adopting the budget that they have brought forward to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Is there anyone else here to speak for this 2027 proposed budget?
Good evening. My name is Pastor Aaron Carter from Bethlehem Baptist Church, and I'm also president of the Andrew Park Committee. I came here with a different agenda, but I'm only going to speak as a private citizen because I didn't have the consent of the committee to speak for them. So I'll do that at a later time. But as a retired licensed wastewater operator for the last 18 years, well, I've been retired 2 years now, I can tell you that the infrastructure problems in this city it weighs heavy on the employees. I heard about the work. I wasn't able to attend the workshop, but some of my colleagues were, and I heard about the greatness of the workshop, and I appreciate you. And even as I've been sitting here today listening to the different proposals, it would be great if everybody would work with you guys. It's easy to point fingers, but when you're in charge, somebody can always come and tell you how you can better do your job. And it behooves you, when you're in leadership, to listen. Perhaps some of those naysayers, they might not necessarily be haters. It might be something that you can use, but you're in charge. You're elected officials, and John Clem is hired. You guys are what we got. So I approve of the budget. I pray that it will work. I thank y'all for listening to the workers, because as the lady before me said, it's tough watching your coworkers. Sometimes I'm going to work and I see my coworkers in a deep hole, been digging all night long, trying to improve. The infrastructure problem is a problem. We gotta do something. You gotta do something. So hopefully this community can come together. We talk about one Morgan, one Madison. Why don't we be one and work together? It's easy to point fingers, but if we can work together, but by the grace of God, there might be me up there. I'm glad it's y'all and not me. So continue the good work, and I do approve of your budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Is there anyone else here to speak for the fiscal year 2027 proposed budget? If not, this public hearing is closed. And if our council members have any comments that they would like to make after listening to the pros and cons tonight, I would ask these council members to get with our city clerk or our city manager and talk to them before our meeting on the 24th of June. Again, thank you. I don't believe there's any unfinished business that we have, or there any new business our council needs to talk about. If not, we are at our public service appointment. Ken?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Per your recently adopted procedure, when you have applications, when you don't have more applications than seats, you have decided not to have a need to speak of it at a work session, but go directly to appointments. And we have this case for 2 commissions right now. Cemetery Stewardship Commission has 3 terms open with 1 application. I know one of the other 2 has decided not to seek reappointment, and I haven't heard from the 3rd. But Nancy Green is seeking reappointment. On the Public Arts Commission, there are 4 terms available, and you have 3 applications. So,
Sorry, Ken?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear.
Yeah.
Nancy Green has withdrawn her?
no,
application?
Somebody else has.
she's seeking.
Oh, somebody else has?
Someone
Okay.
else has, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So everybody on the sheet is seeking appointment. Of the 4 people on the sheet, 3 of them are seeking reappointment, and 1 is a fairly new person to the city.
If I may, Mayor, I would say, you can see on Nancy Green's resume, she has served on our cemetery commission before. She's a past director of the Oakland Cemetery in Atlanta. I mean, what's not to like about that?
That's
I
pretty
think we're
impressive.
very fortunate to have Nancy reapplying, and I would move to accept her application for reappointment to the Cemetery Stewardship Commission.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none, vote unanimously. Thank you. Okay, Ken?
Public Arts Commission.
Trying to find.
We have Jennifer Lockridge,
Yes, sir.
Terry Reeves,
Yes, sir.
and Nikki Minton.
Minton?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Council members, this is to you for vote of approval or disapprove.
And I would just point out for the benefit of the council that 2 of these candidates are seeking reappointment, both Terry and Jennifer. And then we have a new application from Ms. Minton. Well, we have 3 openings, if I understand that correctly? 4, so, all right.
So we still will have 1 vacancy?
Correct.
Good, all right.
So, can we get a motion to approve those?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is none, vote unanimously.
Okay. And we will have people seeking appointment to the DDA at your work session because we have more applicants than seats. So we'll do it all over again.
Thank you, Ken.
And green space.
Right. Thank you, Ken.
At this time, the floor is open for public comments. And if you do have comments, we'll give you 5 minutes on the public comments with uninterrupted access to make a statement on an issue of importance to you. So citizens, this is your time to make a statement, and we as council will not interrupt you, nor will we entertain questions and answers. But if a response is required, the appropriate council member or staff will follow up with you after the meeting. The only rule that we have is one requiring civility, and we ask that you not attack or make personal comments against anyone this evening. So the floor is open for anyone who desires to make public comments. No public comments? That adjourn this part of our meeting, and we would get a motion to go into to executive session to discuss personnel.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, if not, we will go into executive session to discuss personnel. Thanks for being here this evening.